Hi guys, so we are here today to talk about the camera's voice. And so I'm going to jump right into sharing my screen here. And well, actually, before I do that, this would be a really ideal time to take some notes. You'll have an assignment related to this lecture coming up. And yeah, well, depending on what class you're in for watching this video. Recording this on August 22nd. First recording is for my um, literature class at UNI, comic books, movies, and cartoons. I said that in the wrong order, but you guys get the story. So, hi, nice to see you guys. All right, I'm going to jump into sharing my screen, and we're going to talk about the camera's voice. Okay, don't need that Zoom meeting open. Okay, so that'll work. Okay, so camera's voice, and all the photographs that we're going to have in here will be from the Lerman's Gatsby, which you probably just watched if you are now into watching and learning from this presentation. So let's start from the beginning here. The camera's voice, ta-da. Okay, film, as you guys know, and as I have talked about before, is a humongous collaboration between so many people. And they come together, for the most part, to tell a story. And the camera is just one of those collaborators. It's just one of the many storytellers in a collaboration in a film. And I personally love the word storyteller. And I don't know, but I tried to manipulate you guys into loving it too by choosing a different typeface here. I don't know if you guys feel any differently about storytellers having seen it now in this typeface, but I will be honest with you. I did that on purpose to show you guys that the way things look definitely makes a difference in the way that they are perceived. And that is what the camera is doing, is changing the way things look. It is one of the storytellers. And so let's move on. Not only is the camera one of the storytellers of a film, the camera is also the viewer's eye. Now, obviously, a viewer also has ears, and film is really sound and sight. And of course, there's other dimensions, other ways that they're bringing other sensory experiences into film. But mostly, film is visual and hearing, and the camera is the viewer's eye, or is what is responsible for a large part of what you're seeing, but not entirely. Again, film is a humongous collaboration. The camera, though, dictates what you see, or the viewer, what is seen, and also the very important concept of from which perch it is seen. So by that, I mean, like, what vantage point are you looking at? Think about the camera being a group of friends that you have, and the camera being the friend that when you show up a little bit late to a party or whatever, grabs you by the hand and says to you, come here, look at this. And you go with them because they have that control. The camera has even more control than just telling you what to look at, because like I said before, it tells you what perch to look at it, from what perch it is to be seen. So are you above it? Are you below it? Are you from what vantage point? And you know, your viewpoint in the world, depending on like how you look at immigration, for just a very rough example, is going to be different from the viewpoint of a U.S. citizen than it is from the viewpoint of someone outside the U.S. So viewpoint makes a difference, and the camera chooses what you see and from where you see it, so it changes your viewpoint. And again, as you know, the viewpoint can change the entire story. So, moving on. Every single shot in a film, millions of shots, every single shot has a multitude of choices that come together to make that shot whole. Those include like the background choices, the mise en scene, like what is everything in the whole frame of the photograph, how deeply focused is the photograph? Can you see the things in the background clearly, or are they a little bit out of focus? So the focus, the lighting, and so many things. The only thing we're going to look at today is the angles and the proximity. So the angles, where's the main action? Where's the subject? Is the camera, or you as the viewer, above that subject, below it, next to it, straight on, or at, you know, kind of an askew, not a straight on angle, or actually at an angle that isn't, you know, that eye level. I'm complicating. The angles are where is it in proximity to the thing, and okay, I really like, okay, angles and proximity. How is the camera being held? Is it above? Is it below? But then proximity is also in relation to the object, but it's how far away or how close is the thing. Is it comfortably removed? And you can be made uncomfortable by close-up shots in a film. So we're going to take a look at some angles here, first of all, and the different effects that they have. So first of all, well, here they are. Let's just give you the list of what we're going to look at today. So we have eye level, low angle, high angle, bird's eye view, Dutch tilt, and point of view. And I have examples of each of these from the Gatsby film that we just watched. So first we start with eye level. The eye level shot is your most honest shot. It's the one that makes you feel like you can relate to the subject, to the character. You see eye to eye with them. And in this, it's not surprising that they would choose an eye level shot for this particular part of the film, because Gatsby is just a regular guy waiting for a girl that he likes. And we can relate to that totally. So here he is. What a fun, totally hilarious scene too, where he breaks the clock and decides when she's 4 seconds late that he can't wait any longer. And anyway, so we see him eye to eye in this eye level shot and in this scene. So that's your eye level. It's interesting to think about how the camera can manipulate things. We'll talk about this low angle shot here in a second. But when you think about the eye level, I'm not sure how to go backwards in this program, so I'm not going to try to, but when you think about the eye level shot, that's really where most of your documentaries should be filmed at, your news broadcasts. I don't believe they always are. So that may be something interesting to look at, is how is the camera placement, the camera angle, trying to sort of manipulate, it's a pretty loaded word, but trying to manipulate how you feel about a subject. And if it's the news or it's a documentary, it's supposed to be just the facts, ma'am. But where the camera is can make a difference in that. So then we have the low angle shot. Whoa, I flipped my page too fast. Okay, so there we have the low angle shot, which makes things seem large, or actually physically appear large. That can happen too. It has the effect of making things seem grand and wonderful and larger than life and bigger than they are. Incidentally, a lot of film classes will talk about Citizen Kane. And one of the reasons Citizen Kane is very worthy of study is that it broke ground in so many areas. It made so many technical breakthroughs for film. And one of the very basic and almost funny how basic it is when you think about it, things that Citizen Kane did that really hadn't been done before was a low angle shot. And the reason that a lot of the films or a lot of the productions prior to Citizen Kane hadn't done that was because above the characters and above the action, they had boom mics and lighting and other technical equipment. And so the big breakthrough with Great Gatsby is that they created ceilings to their set so that they could film from the bottom up and make Citizen Kane himself look larger than life. And so that was cool. That's a cool thing that Citizen Kane did. And here we see it in Gatsby. He looks wonderful, magnificent, larger than life, powerful, all of those things. Here though is, and one of the cool things about film is that is that it's 100% an art form. So you learn the rules, but then sometimes the way you use them is like the opposite of how they normally have an effect. Here we have poor Myrtle, and we have this low angle shot, which should make her look powerful. And maybe it's just that she's behind a window right here, but she looks more like a princess trapped in a, you know, in a high tower waiting for rescue. She certainly doesn't look powerful right here. Maybe if she was actually outside the window, then we would be concerned for other reasons. But there's Myrtle in a low angle shot where she doesn't look powerful, even though that's the typical effect that a low angle shot will have. And by contrast, and it has the opposite effects as well, is take the camera above the subject, and the subject will look smaller, lesser important, lesser than the viewpoint, lesser than the viewer. The quote from this moment in Gatsby, which you might remember, is when this is actually Nick saying goodbye to Gatsby. He doesn't probably know it, or he doesn't know it at the time, but this is the last time he sees him alive. And he tells him, "You're worth the whole damn bunch put together," which the line tells us that he's looking up to Gatsby. He looks up to him. He thinks highly of him. And using this shot drives home what is happening in the narrative, because Nick is looking up, and then you can tell that he looks up to Gatsby. He always still looks inferior and smaller. And in this case, it's not necessarily a negative thing. It's just the perspective that the filmmaker is giving at this point and driving home with the placement of the camera being above Nick, above the subject. Okay, and so, oh, I have another high angle. Let's move to that one. Oh, Tom. Poor Tom. We're sad for Tom. He, just want to make sure I'm still recording and still sharing it. Okay, so Tom right here, normally we see Tom in low angle shots from low, and because he looks big and powerful, but here is where he's learning that Myrtle is planning to move away. He's also learned, like, things are about to hit the fan with Gatsby and his wife. So he's losing control of everything at this moment. And it's a great filmmaker choice to then make him look more diminutive by taking that camera above Tom and making him glance up. Poor fella. So that's a high angle shot for you. Couple of them. And then we have bird's eye view. I love film terms. They're actually so easy to memorize because they are very straightforward and very descriptive of what they actually are. So, you know, a high angle is from high above, a low angle is from low below, and low below. And a bird's eye is how a bird would look down on things if it were flying over. One of the cool things about a bird's eye view, and you imagine, like, if you climb Pikes Peak or you climb something really magnificent, that the view is what you get excited about. This huge, being able to see this unobstructed, there's nothing in the way. You can see all the workings of the moment. And that's what a bird's eye view does when the camera flies up above the action. It gives you it gives the viewer, it gives the viewer the vantage point of seeming omniscient, what's that word? Oh my goodness, all-knowing. They can see all, you know, how everything is functioning. They can see everybody equally on the same plane. And in a lot of ways that they also feel superior, because not only because they have this unobstructed view, the viewer, but also because everybody looks kind of small and like ants and like little toys and stuff, depending, of course, on proximity. Like I said, there's lots of choices that go into every single shot. So a bird's eye view that's far enough away is going to make everything below look like ants, like little insects, like unimportant little things. Omniscient. I think it's omniscient. That's the word I'm looking for. By the way, Luhrmann uses a lot of bird's eye views. Here is the one where thank God we're not down on the road with these maniac drivers. So we're flying high above, but we also can see the speed with which they are moving through the city and how they zigzag in and out of each other. So that is your couple examples of your bird's eye view. And then we have the Dutch tilt, which is simply a tilt. Again, simple names to remember. Why is it Dutch? Because the Dutch filmmakers were the first to use it. But you take the camera and sort of disorient it, move it so it's not parallel with the earth. It's not parallel with any axis that you are that you're grounded upon, and it is askew from that. So here, and we can tell this is a Dutch tilt because the trees are tilting also. You might argue that they were going up a hill, but you can't because the trees are also at an angle. And again, crazy car scene. The Dutch tilt, also called the Dutch angle, is used a lot of times to show chaotic environments, to show disorientation. Sometimes it can be paired with a point of view shot where you're looking from the character's eyes, and like if they have been impaired in some way, poisoned, they have gotten injured or something like that, then you might see that they would drive home that chaos, that feeling of being not grounded by just tilting that camera and giving that tilt to the whole picture, to the whole shot at that moment. So there's not a lot of this in Gatsby that I have noticed. And if you guys notice a bunch more Dutch tilt, let me know. But this is this was kind of the only one I found, was with this crazy car. And then we have the camera looking right out of the eyes of the character. And I have found a couple of shots of this. It's not something either that you see very often in Gatsby. And it could be because the entire story is told from the point of view of one of the characters, and that is Nick, of course. But when we get to the end, they sort of wrap it all up in a neat package by reminding you that Nick is telling this story, that Nick is writing down this story. And from the beginning of the film to here. And we see him actually choosing the title, and that is his own hand. The camera, again, this is like if you have an animal. I have one right here. Hold on, I'll show you. So this is Martin, my Chihuahua, and so she's very sleepy right now, and sometimes she falls asleep right on me, right? And so I hope you guys can see my camera too and not just my screen. But sometimes she's so like limp and totally asleep right now. But she'll fall asleep like on my chest, and I'll bring my camera up here and try to take a picture of how cute she looks asleep on my chest. There you go, honey. You can lay back down. Poor girl. And that's a point of view, trying to show you exactly what it looks like from my eyes. So we have a little bit of that here with Nick putting the title and the final bits on his manuscript. Okay, so we've covered like, where is the camera? Is it up above, looking down? Is it down below, looking up? And the effects that the camera angle can have. So let's talk about, and this one's not quite as involved. It's even more straightforward than the angles, and that is the proximity, which really is just how close is the shot? How close is the camera? How close is the viewer to the action? Okay, so we have these shots that we're going to look at, and there's a slide for each one, so you can jot those down if you want to have them ahead of time, but you can get them while we go through the slides too. So first, we have the extreme long shot, and it's going to be just from extremely long distances. Here we have the opening shot of Gatsby, and which the extreme long shot is often also an establishing shot. And again, awesome film terms. They're so straightforward, because an establishing shot will set the tone, will tell you where the setting is. It establishes the story, the location, the place of the character within the setting. So it's extremely far away and shows the bigger picture. And again, a lot of times it's an establishing shot, which establishes a story, a setting, location. But not always. Extreme long shots sometimes are used in other circumstances too. So not every establishing shot, sorry, not every extreme long shot is an establishing shot, but most establishing shots, I would say 99%, I'd have to think if I could find an example of one that wasn't. But most establishing shots, almost all, are extreme long shots. But there's also other reasons to use an extreme long shot. For instance, there's probably one of these in Home Alone, I don't remember, but, or at least in one of the later ones where that little boy is lost in one of the cities, but little boy, pan out, pan out, pan out, pan out, and you have this extreme long shot of a tiny little boy in a really big city. So that's another reason to use one. You could have somebody lost in a desert, and you could go back all the way up to an extreme long shot to show how much desert they're actually lost in. You could also, let me move my camera a little bit because I feel like I'm staring into space. You could also use that long shot to show positive things. Usually it's like, how small is this character in this vast surrounding? But it can also be like, look at how much opportunity they have. Like say a young actor who just moved to New York City, and you have them standing there in front of their new apartment or standing on Broadway, and you pan out, pan out, pan out, and look at this giant city and all these opportunities that are open up to them. So that is an extreme long shot. Then we get a little bit closer with a long shot. With a long shot, you still have some emotional distance as the viewer. You're still a little bit comfortable. You might be able to sense how the characters are feeling. You can see some body language, and you can see their setting, like where are they? You can still take into account some of the background happenings and the mise en scene, which is, you know, it really is just the whole picture. You can take into account the whole picture. You probably cannot hear the conversations of a long shot, but you can sort of see again and sense and see body language and stuff like that. We get a little closer with a medium shot. We're still seeing some background here and some context. You are in basically a conversational proximity with a medium shot, but from director to director, these things may be different. Like a medium shot for Spielberg might be really, really different than a medium shot for like Tim Burton or another director. And then you have your close-up. Now, when you get with the close-up, then you can see emotions on the actors' faces. You can see the little ticks, the very subtle things that happen in an actor's eyes, in their mouth, in the muscles up here by their temples. It's definitely a much less comfortable position for the viewers. This is an alarming shot from Gatsby when he finally loses his cool and darn near punches Tom's lights out, which, you know, don't you kind of wish he would have done that? Tom is such a jackbird. But anyway, we have a little bit of a low angle combined with the close-up here to show, just to make Gatsby a little bit more looming and terrifying. Those close-ups get inside the personal space. If somebody were here, you would probably take a step backwards if somebody were this close to you, as we are to Daisy and to Gatsby right here. Close-ups can also be of objects. Will she call or won't she call? But actually, I can't remember if this is Daisy's phone or if this is Gatsby's phone, because Daisy also stares at her phone to decide whether or not she will call him. But either way, this phone is waiting for Daisy, whether it's Gatsby's to ring or hers to call. And we have a close-up. And the thing is, too, with close-ups, it's more, you can have close-ups on other objects, too, like a gun or a ticking bomb or a doorknob waiting for it to turn. Close-ups and extreme close-ups, like this sweaty neck of Tom, make really small things seem absolutely monumental. And then think again about how the camera is your friend who's like, come here and look at this and look right in there at that thing. You know, like the camera is telling you right now to look at the sweat on Tom's neck. And why? Why is it telling you that? It has an effect, right? So all of these are choices made by the filmmaker. I think I have one more slide for you, and it's another extreme close-up. We have Gatsby's ring. So yeah, I looked through a lot of scenes in Gatsby on YouTube and in the film that I've seen many, many times because I love it. I hope you guys love it too. I don't see any extreme close-ups of faces so much. So if you spot one of those, let me know too. Normally I teach this lecture off the cuff, but I'm recording it today, so this is new for me to just like dig in and find these examples ahead of time. Good for you, because then you don't have to wait for me to go, oh, there's this one picture and we should go find it. So that is your explanation of the camera's voice, or at least a small portion of it. Where it is placed, and well, both are where, but at what angle and how close. The film angles and film proximity. So thanks for tuning in. I have an assignment for you guys, but I will put the instructions actually in Blackboard in our site, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right, and if you have any questions, post them in somewhere or email me. Maybe we'll just make a Q&A discussion board. Okay, thanks, darlings. Have a good night, and I will talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye.